Welcome to yet another edition of Living the Pipe Life with me, Palm Tree Piper. I was ready to conclude my series in different pipe materials with pear and olive wood pipes, which is still in the works. But I'd nearly forgotten about the great granddaddy of tobacco pipes, the humble yet venerable clay pipe. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the long history of these original old school smokers, how they're making a comeback, why you need to try one for yourself, and at the conclusion of this video, where you can get one. More when we come back. Although the current community of pipe smokers numbers only a fraction of what it was a few decades ago, the variety of pipes and tobaccos available today is unprecedented in history, with an array of fine crafted artisan creations, quality factory pipes of all shapes, materials, and sizes, estate pieces from pipe smoking's golden age, plus countless boutique blended tobaccos around the world to satisfy even the most discriminating of palate, all of which are just a point and click away on our computers or smartphones. And most of them can arrive in our mailboxes in just a few days. With all these options, something as unassuming as a simple clay pipe might have fallen into obscurity, but thanks to the growing number of tobacco connoisseurs and pipe enthusiasts, it is gaining popularity, perhaps coming full circle after nearly a millennium. Let's look at the history. Clay pipes first appeared in England during the late 16th century when tobacco was introduced by Sir Walter Raleigh. Yes, that Sir Walter Raleigh. Returning from the New World, where Native Americans had already been using them for ceremonial, medicinal, or social purposes for centuries. Initially an indulgence exclusively reserved for royalty, it was even outlawed for a time under penalty of death, and Sir Walter Raleigh, having fallen out of favor with the British monarchy, was accused of treason and himself beheaded. At that time there was no debating that smoking was hazardous to your health. But eventually tobacco became accessible to common folk and was even later encouraged as it was thought to ward off the plague. Lots of smokers meant lots of demand for inexpensive clay pipes, as cigarettes would not be introduced for at least another couple of hundred years. They were relatively easy to produce in large numbers, and clay was cheap and easily attainable, so they were used and thrown away in a very short span of time. Some were sold already filled with tobacco. Think of them as ancient versions of disposable vape devices. Even today, pipes hundreds of years old can commonly be found on the muddy banks of the Thames River in England. In fact, searching for pipes and other small artifacts along the Thames River is actually a hobby called mudlarking. Clay pipe remnants are also found scattered buried throughout the historical colonial sites in the eastern U.S. Clay pipes eventually became popular as community pipes in taverns, where patrons would break off the used tips of the stems used by previous smokers, smoke them, and leave them to be used again. With the introduction of the meerschaum pipe in the 1700s and the ever-popular briar a century later, clay pipes largely fell into disuse. But in recent years they've enjoyed something of a renaissance. Besides being used by historical groups like Civil War reenactors, their tradition has lived on due to some unique advantages they bring, and a new generation of pipers is taking notice. As the new demand grows, antique pipe molds are being dusted off and re-employed. I previously mentioned some of the unique advantages of a clay pipe. Well, what are they? A clay pipe is a neutral material. Clay itself is a neutral material. It doesn't impart any flavor to the tobacco, nor will it pick up the flavors and ghost them, that is, carry them to your next smoke, which makes it a perfect option for sampling new tobaccos. The basic techniques for crafting clay pipes have changed little since they were first introduced. Raw white clay is ground and then mixed with water until it's the right consistency. It is then rolled to form a stem, while a separate piece is added for the bowl, making a rudimentary pipe shape. A thin wire is then driven through the stem to form the airway. The entire piece is tightly placed into the mold where the excess clay is squeezed out and the bowl is reamed out much like any other type of pipe. When dry, the newly formed pipe is released from the mold and the wire is removed from the stem. It is sanded to remove any seams that were formed by the mold as well as any burrs or other surface inconsistencies. Finally, they are heated in a kiln to temper and cure them for use as smoking pipes. There are variants among clay pipes. Some, like those made in Germany, employ clay only for the bowl and have conventional stems. Others are made from finely detailed molds to form ornate designs similar to their meerschaum cousins. Clay pipes do have a couple of limitations. They're fragile, which is to say they don't travel well. Don't drop it either. They tend to get hot in the bowl, so you have to grab it by the stem. And because of the size of the bowl, plan on a short smoke. Despite these minor inconveniences, for the price, I invite you to add a clay pipe to your collection and experience what I always say is the hallmark of good pipe smoking: a cool, dry smoke. Not only that, but you can get the historical background of what it was like to smoke a tobacco pipe in the early days when tobacco was first brought to the New World. My own pipe was a gift from my wife, who purchased it at Farthing's Ordinary in St. Mary's, Maryland, the second oldest continuously populated English settlement in the U.S. after Jamestown, and itself a great archaeological site. Unfortunately, the shop does not have an online store. Perhaps a good excuse for a road trip. She gave it to me as a collectible, and it was for a few years until, after reading about them in smoking blogs, I decided to give it a try. The style is typical of that used in colonial America, tracing its origin to England in the late 1600s, with a forward-swept or cuddy-style bowl and a spur at the bottom, which is used for resting the hot pipe on a surface without burning that surface. I fitted the mouthpiece with a black 7mm heat shrink tube, as the clay can get moist and pasty with use. Some pipes actually have a terracotta mouthpiece that is more moisture resistant. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'd like to think of my preparatory research and your watching it as a learning experience for both of us. And if you enjoyed it, please click on like or the thumbs up below. And to see more of my videos, please subscribe and click on the bell icon so you can be notified of new videos as I release them. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay smoky, stay safe, stay blessed.